The fourth study sought to assess the effectiveness of a California SNAP Ed program called Power Play at increasing fruit and vegetable intake for children in 4th through 5th grade in San Diego public schools. A clusterized, randomized, controlled trial of 100 students from 44 schools with similar fruit and vegetable intake at baseline were selected and randomly assigned to either a control or intervention group. The intervention group would participate in a 10-week in-the-classroom nutrition education program which involved activities in math, reading, and recipes, as well as taste tests, bumper stickers, and posters displayed in the cafeteria promoting fruit and vegetable intake. Outcome measures. Measuring cups and food models were used to assist participants with completing a 24-hour food diary to improve self-report validity. Fruit and vegetable intake was assessed from baseline to completion. Results indicated that compared with the control groups, fruit intake increased 0.26 cups and vegetables increased 0.1 cups for the intervention groups after the 10-week intervention. While these changes are significant, they are still below the DRI guidelines of fruit and vegetable intake overall. Limitations to this study are that the data was self-reported. The final study that I looked at assessed the effectiveness of a program called Food Dudes, which is an in-class nutrition education program using repeated measures exposure to new fruits and vegetables, offering rewards and videos depicting peer involvement in fruit and vegetable intake and selection. The study assessed the effectiveness of this program over the 16 days of sessions, as well as a 6-month follow-up. 560 children from 1st through 4th grade from 3 different schools were randomly assigned to either a control or intervention group. Children with food allergies were excluded from participation. The intervention involved exposing children to taste tests in the classroom of new fruits and vegetables repeatedly 4 times over the course of 16 days, with videos and rewards given to children for trying new foods. Food neophobia, which is the fear of new foods, was assessed using a questionnaire of 8 items related to food neophobia behaviors. The 8-item questionnaire was used at baseline, upon completion, and after a 6-month time period follow-up to assess changes and lasting changes in food neophobia for both the control and intervention groups. Fruit and vegetable liking scores changed significantly for the intervention group and were lasting at a 6-month follow-up. Results indicate that a repeated exposures design coupled with a reward system and peer modeling is effective at increasing likeness for fruit and vegetables and reducing food neophobia for children in 1st through 4th grade. Overall, based on the research studies analyzed, utilizing teachers as the primary mode of nutrition education was effective at increasing fruit and vegetable preference and intake. Resources provided in the form of training materials, handouts, and videos assisted with the curriculum. Social learning theory, when used as the basis for study design, was successful at modifying environments to increase the likelihood of fruit and vegetable selection and intake. Through the use of various forms of nutrition education, such as videos, taste testing, handouts, and environmental modifications, it is apparent that this multi-structured approach yields more positive results when assessing fruit and vegetable intake and preference, compared with only offering fruit and vegetables. Strengths of these studies. All of these studies listed utilized existing teachers as nutrition educators, which may have resulted in a more comfortable social setting in which to learn about and try new foods. Including teachers as stakeholders in the success and or failure of these branded programs strengthens the message and uses existing communication channels to introduce new foods. Also, including teachers as the main resource can possibly increase longevity for these programs to continue after initial implementation, making them a cornerstone of the curriculum. It is important to note that while measurements of fruit and vegetable preference and/or intake were analyzed during education sessions, only 2 out of 4 of these studies examined the effect of nutrition intervention strategies on fruit and vegetable preference and intake outside of the school environment. The Go Wild with Fruits and Vegetables program study lasted 7 weeks, of intervention and results analysis without a follow-up, which limits the applicability of these results in the long term, over the course of greater than 7 weeks. As is expected with the nature of these programs, fruit and vegetable preference was determined primarily by self-reported data from either a parent or child with little additional information regarding actual intake amounts. Gaps in future research. While this systematic review assessed the effects of nutrition education programs on fruit and vegetable intake, with the overarching goal of reducing obesity and body mass index Z-scores for overweight children, determining the impact of strict adherence to this fruit and vegetable program offered through the Food Nutrition Services as an extension of the U.S. Department of Agriculture is needed to assess the full impact. While data on fruit and vegetable intake and preference was self-reported, this is the best measure to date to assess effects of such programs. Future research into cafeteria environment changes involving placement of fruits and vegetables, signage, and staff training is recommended to enhance the measured efficacy of such programs. I thank you for your time today.